the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? DJ, Bucky here, back in the studio after I had to tap out, Buck.
You weren't feeling great. I know our guys didn't have the opportunity to see you, but you were definitely under the weather.
I'm good. I'm good for a migraine headache once every 3 or 4 years, and this was my time. So I drove all the way up here, excited to do the show, and then I walked in. I sat down on the couch to do some of our NFL Now duties, and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah, and it wasn't good.
It was a little on a level of 1 to 10. I was pale. If Casper is 10, where was I at?
You had a 9.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. But I'm healthy now. I'm excited about today's show. We got a lot coming up. For those that are just checking us out for the first time, Move the Sticks, here's what we do. It's an audio podcast as well as a video podcast on Monday. We do 2 a week. Episode Monday, which you can catch on video normally. This week it's a little bit turned around because of the migraine headache I was telling you about. And then Wednesday will be audio only. But you can find it on iTunes. You can find it on NFL.com. You can find it on YouTube. So we're kind of all over the place. And we got a lot for you today. And if this isn't enough for you, we also have some short videos that we're doing that you can check out outside of the episode here. So be sure to check that out as well. And I know, Buck, we got a jammed episode today. And instead of going to TD, producer TD.
Oh, you got somebody else?
Well, we always go to producer TD behind the glass. But today, the man who's kind of the guts behind everything that we do here is Sully. And today is Sully's last day for a while. He'll be returning later. But we're going to miss you, Sully. So we thought today you can tell the good folks at home what's coming up.
Yeah, what's going on, gentlemen? Just got to say it's been a pleasure. I'll be back before the draft, though, so
nice.
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to start breaking down some college players.
You're going to let that stash grow? You let that mustache grow?
Yes, it'll be Fu Manchu style by the time I get
I like that. I like that.
So we're going to break down Week 3, little Cam Newton and how he's a little underrated. And then we're also going to go into an explanation of how offensive weapons would be cars and what quarterbacks do with a Mustang, or if the Phillies or if the Eagles.
So in terms of like the skill position players they get to play with, like how you always say like, oh, that quarterback gets to drive a nice car.
That's
so
right,
we're gonna actually label which car these offenses are.
And we might have a couple graphics for you guys that are flashy that'll look
very
good.
nice.
Oh, I like graphics.
Right.
What else?
And then of course we're gonna go into Week 4 and then break down some scout sleepers and go into the weekend looking good.
All right, nice work, Sully.
Thanks.
Bucky, let's circle back, first of all, to last week. And this is a player, I think he might be one of the more underappreciated guys in the entire league because we hear so much about these young quarterbacks. We got the rookies that we spend a lot of time talking about. We got these second-year quarterbacks. Derek Carr's doing a nice job. And then we've got Rodgers and Brady playing out of their mind. Cam Newton, to me, man, he does not get his due. He is playing at a very high level with not a whole lot around him.
No, I mean, this is a guy that has been a one-man show in my mind for a long time. A guy who's been really tasked with the responsibilities of having to do so much for that offense. He has to make plays with his feet. He has to make pinpoint passes with his arm. And he doesn't necessarily have the weapons that some of his counterparts have the luxury of having on the perimeter. And so when I look at Cam Newton and I watch him play the game in the right way, it has to be with him kind of stringing together plays to keep that offense on the field. Look, they're hard-pressed to score 20 or more points, but when they do score 20 or more, it's always because Cam Newton has done something remarkable, be it in the pocket or outside the pocket, to make it happen.
I love trying to find little catchphrases for the quarterback position in terms of how they play and what they do. And for me, what he's doing so far this season, what I love about him, he's selectively aggressive.
Yes.
So he's finding his spots where he can take shots. We have different quarterbacks in this league. You have a guy like Alex Smith. We get frustrated watching him, right, because he doesn't take any shots down the field. Then you get a guy like Jay Cutler who's just reckless, right? You're going to be throwing the ball down the field the whole time, and you're going to get a lot of turnovers that come with it. Cam is kind of walking that tightrope of being able, okay, I got an opportunity, I'm going to take my shot, but otherwise I know I have a good defense and we're going to protect the football.
Yeah, I think he's finally learning that part of it, the management equation, understanding when he can kind of take those risks and chances and when he needs to dial it back and allow the defense to really do their work. In researching the team before last week's game, I found that the Panthers had held their opponents to 17 or fewer points in 6 straight regular season games. So when you're a quarterback and you know that that's the magic number, that we only need to get to 17 or 18 to win games, it changes the way that you play the game. And I think when you look at the when you look at the Panthers and you see how they've been able to be successful, it's because they are minimizing their risk on offense and really putting the weight on the defense to find a way to create those short opportunities for them.
And I like what Cam Newton can do with his legs. And there was one play in particular in the game last week where you have a chance to make a play with your legs, but you're not subjecting yourself to danger or to a big hit. They're playing against the Saints. It's 3rd and 2, fourth quarter. It's a 4-point game. And, Buck, it's a true naked. They just ran a true naked, so it's a total fool and play, and it works for him. He ends up basically getting a walk-in for a touchdown, but he wasn't subjecting himself to any danger either.
No, he's one of the good guys. Like, there are a couple guys in the league that are run-around quarterbacks that rarely take big shots. Cam Newton's one, Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson. These guys have a great sense of awareness, understanding where defenders are when they're within close proximity. But for Cam Newton to execute a naked play where he didn't have any protection, meaning they didn't pull a guard, they didn't have anybody in front, he didn't even really have a route on his side to be able to dump it off to, that's his awareness, but it speaks volumes about the athleticism he brings to the table.
Now, they're 3-0 with Ted Ginn as basically their number one wide receiver, which is amazing to me. A guy that could still be their number one wide receiver, but decided to move on, which is still a head-scratcher to me. But Steve Smith, I know it was a losing effort last week, but he went off for the Ravens.
I mean, he does go off, and this is a guy that I'm very, very familiar with. When I got to Carolina in 2004, he was a young guy. He was in his second year, heading into his second year. And he is everything that I thought he would be coming out of college. Like, he is a guy that, as a punt returner, was dynamic, had outstanding foot and hands, had the ability to kind of slip and find those crevices and creases that you like. Went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie on his special teams merits. But then when we get there, and I get there in 03, like he's really in his second or third year, he is beginning to blossom into a wide receiver. Was the big play specialist, was the guy that stretched the field, would do all the deep ball things. And you had Musi Muhammad there and Ricky Prohl. So he wasn't tasked with being the number one. But as he continued to get better, he was a guy that, man, at one point, around 2005, 2006, he may have been the best receiver in football because he competed and contended for the Triple Crown, receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns. Fantastic player, and he's still doing it. He is still the energy bunny for the Baltimore Ravens in that passing game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of the things I will ask you about this, because I've thought with Antonio Brown and with Steve Smith, one of the benefits, I think, to being a kind of a smaller wide receiver, I think you get away with a little bit more in terms of pushing off and doing some things down the field. Steve Smith had an OPI that did not get called last week for a touchdown. And Antonio Brown, I think, is as good as we have in the league right now, but still he can get away with moving around a little bit. You buy into that at all?
I absolutely buy into it. And when you think about Steve Smith in particular, Steve Smith is a guy that is built more like a running back than a wide receiver on the edge. He's about 200 pounds. He's physical. He's strong. And he does get away with the little pushing, finding a way to work away and create separation. They rarely call that on a small guy. He has mastered that technique, and he's so competitive. And I can't tell you how competitive and how emotional and how he brings that energy to the field. But his competitiveness, I think, is probably his best trait because he finds a way to win against all corners. Good, bad, indifferent. He doesn't care. He wants to wear everyone out.
Yeah, and Thursday Night Football going up against the Steelers is going to be a big opportunity for Steve Smith. They need him to play well. Both those receivers squaring off in that game, Antonio Brown and Steve Smith. Another receiver, a rookie who we talk about a lot on here, Buck, but who's someone, when I watched him on tape this last week, it's hard to kind of be wowed when you're watching tape because we've all seen it. We watch so much, we've seen so much of it.
Yeah.
But when I was watching Amari Cooper and going up against Joe Haden last week, Buck, it was impressive.
I mean, he's an impressive guy. Coming into the year, I thought he was going to be the most pro-ready wide receiver at the position. I felt like he had a special set of skills. He brought some things to the table that you just don't see. Outstanding route running, great hands, understands the timing and rhythm of running routes and sets people up. The one question that I had is, how is he going to be able to handle press coverage? He has been outstanding. We'll see when we break down the tape. His ability to work away from press coverage at the line of scrimmage separates him from his peers at the position. I think he's going to be a guy that we talk about for a very long time.
It was the first play of the game, Buck, is the one that kind of stood out to me. And when you watch it, you see the recognition of Derek Carr to look, okay, I'm gonna have rotating coverage. I'm going to have a single high safety. I'm going to have one-on-one on the outside with my guy. And it's Joe Haden. Joe Haden, top 5 corner in the NFL. You got a single high safety, and Derek Carr said, okay, I know exactly where I'm going. Joe Haden tries to get up on him, try and get a hand on him. Can't touch him, Buck.
No, I can't touch him. And when you look at it, watch the release. Watch the hands. That's what you talk about with young wide receivers. Can they use the hands to pull through and get away? The fact that he was able to do that on Joe Haden says a lot about how quickly he's developed in terms of being able to escape and find maneuvers that allow him to win versus press coverage.
And finding that one-on-one matchup, Derek Carr, when he came under center, did a triple take, legitimately like a triple take, looked over there and said, oh, okay, I got one-on-one. That's where I'm going. Knew exactly what he was going to do with the football. Put it up high, gave Amari Cooper a chance to go get it. That was one of the first things that stood out to me. But then there was a couple other plays throughout this game where I ended up just kind of clipping them off because I was like, this is so special. For a young receiver, the biggest challenge is getting off the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
You touched on it, Buck. And he is so polished and so good with his hands. And we talk about, in scouting, you beat press with quick feet or quick hands. And he's got both.
Yeah, he does have quick hands, but outstanding footwork and pace. Understands how and when he needs to work open. We saw on the quick slant that he paused, took his time. That's the thing. You have more time than you think, but it's the hands that I've been most impressed with. Knocking and swiping, getting off, being able to run around. And he's even giving us a little wiggle after the catch. Those are the things that you like to see from your young receiver.
And the last point that I'll make on Amari after watching him, Buck, is the polish. We talk about stem. Explain to people at home who don't understand when we talk about the stem of a route.
Well, stem is all about understanding how to put a defensive back in a neutral position, meaning he doesn't have leverage to the inside or outside. Most young guys just kind of run their route and they're oblivious to what the defender is trying to take away. But good receivers understand that if I can put the guy in a neutral position,
they want to square him up.
I want to square him up so I can have a two-way go. It gives them the opportunity to get open against anything. Amari Cooper already has a nice understanding of that. Part of that is because he played in a pro-style system at Alabama. He is really good at running routes and understanding how to set up his defender by really changing and manipulating his stems and releases.
Yeah, in this last play when I was watching Buck, the thing that stood out to me, not only does he stem up the defender, and what we're talking about there again, Bucky, is just getting up on that defender's toe, giving yourself a two-way go. He understands the savviness of route pacing. He doesn't just come screaming off the line of scrimmage. He kind of eases off, and then you'll see him really explode to get up on the corners or up on the toes of the defender, and that allows him to create that separation.
Yeah, and looking at that clip, you saw the pace, you saw the changing tempos, learning how to change speeds. A lot of times when you're a guy coming right out of college, you want to run every route full speed. I want to go fast from the start to the finish, make breaks and get open. But really, it's understanding how to make it look like you're going fast, but you're still under control. One of the reasons why I liked Amari Cooper is I always felt like he played under control so he could get in and out of his breaks really quickly. He continues to do that, but he's added a few more tricks to the puzzle.
Yeah, always has his feet underneath him. In that game, Bucky, and this is for those that are listening, this is the reason why you can check out the video that we do here on the podcast. Because this is a play that you'll want to see. Look, there's times you're watching a game and you're not even looking for somebody, but then something just shows up and stands out to you. And so every week, I'm going to try and identify one of those plays that we can show here on Move the Sticks. And this one is a losing effort, same game. Danny Shelton, the rookie defensive tackle, 340 plus, 350 pounds for the Cleveland Browns, Buck. And it's a play that goes for a huge gain for Oakland. It's not going to look pretty in the box score for the Browns. But if you're a Browns fan, this is a great sign for your football team. Danny Shelton trying to get to the passer. He gets up to the 17-yard line of the Raiders. Okay, that's where he is. And the ball gets dumped off, I believe it's Marcel Reese, and he takes off and goes, Buck. And Danny Shelton does not stop. And I'll let you tell the folks that can't see what we're watching where he ends up jumping on the pile.
He jumps on the pile way down the field. You're talking about inside the 20-yard line. Like, that is a long run for a big man. A lot of times with big bodies, you always want to see them play with a high motor. You want to see them run and chase, but you don't have the expectation that they're going to go from one end of the field to the other end of the field and get in on the tackle. The only guy that I can remember doing that on college tape a few seasons ago was Sheldon Richardson. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the kind of impact that he's had.
Against Danny Georgia, Sheldon, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, just running down the field, just all out in pursuit of the ball carrier. Danny Shelton showing that early in his pro career really means that he could be a guy that we talk about because his energy level, his stamina, because you told me he lined up and played the next
the very next snap.
You don't see 300-plus pound guys do that on a week-in, week-out basis.
You go 60-plus yards in effort and pursuit, and then you line up and play the very next snap. Everybody else taps out in that situation. And when you watch him in that game, I know the Raiders popped some runs, but he repeatedly, going up against a good center guard combination in Rodney Hudson as well as Gabe Jackson, locked out his man. You couldn't move him off the line of scrimmage. He was able to toss some guys and get in on a couple tackles. Not going to be an ultra-productive game, but they need to fill in around him. I just thought for the Cleveland Browns, that's a positive sign. You take one play like that, it tells you what the guy's made of. I think Danny Shelton's going to be a good player for them for a long time. But, Buck, I want to switch now over. Sully kind of teased it a little bit.
He did tease it.
This is something people say, oh, this is kind of, I don't get it. What's the deal? Well, when your scouts just sitting around talking, a lot of times we have dead time. We're on school visits.
Yeah.
And you get on weird topics like this. Okay, this team has, golly, I wish we had these players on our team or these weapons. And you talk about, okay, this quarterback's job is easy. I mean, this guy's driving wherever, talking about a car.
Absolutely.
So we're going to actually go through some of these teams that have excellent skill players for their quarterback to work with. And now, of this list of teams, one that's not mentioned is the Green Bay Packers, because look, Jordy Nelson's gone. I know Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal, but I think when you stack up their guys on the outside, I still think not necessarily a top 5 group of guys.
Well, I mean, I think James Jones, his production in Green Bay is a prime example of a guy being a system fit. They have a lot of nice guys that play well within their system, but may not be transcendent playmakers. Because of that, we steer clear of the Packers. We want guys that have like blue chip talent throughout the ranks of their perimeter players.
And one of the first ones that jumps out to me, and I think we actually even have some artwork that the fellas have.
What we have from the guys?
TD, we got some artwork here for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, there you go, right behind.
Oh, there. Okay, so the Bengals we have as an Escalade. So
they are a luxury item. They are a luxury item, and part of the reason I would say they're a luxury item, they have committed capital to making sure that they have the best players on the perimeter surrounding their quarterback. A.J. Green, a first-round pick. Marvin Jones was a guy that was found in the 5th, but I think if we go back, we would say that he's probably a second or third-round value. Been very productive. Tyler Eifert, another first-round pick. Then you think about the running backs, Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill, guys that they found value in, and that offensive line is loaded with first- and second-round players. So because that offense is really full or surrounded with all kinds of players that are really elite playmakers and talents, you have an opportunity to allow your quarterback, who may be a middle-of-the-pack guy, to have a lot of success.
Yeah, you talk about luxury, and I also think it's a luxury vehicle, but it's Escalade. It's a big, because they have a lot of size on the outside with Sanu and A.J. Green and company. They are a big. Eifert as well. A lot of big targets there for their quarterback and Andy Dalton. Now, we change to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is all about speed, Buck. What kind of car we got for Pittsburgh?
We'll have to go with a Ferrari for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because when you start with AB, Antonio Brown, you're talking about a guy that understands how to get open, makes the game very, very easy for everyone. I like just on the outside, Brown, Marcus Wheaton.
Martavis Bryant's coming back.
Being able to work the middle field with Heath Miller. You go to the backfield with Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams. They don't have any weaknesses when it comes on the outside of the field. I love them. They play fast.
A lot of flash, especially with Antonio Brown. All right, now this is my favorite one, the New England Patriots, and this is solely because of Gronkowski, who is their weapon. I got them as they're a monster truck.
They're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. They're big. They're physical, and really it revolves around Rob Gronkowski, because I think he's the only one that if we could play, I'll let you play with mine, I'll play with yours. He's the one guy that I would want on the New England Patriots. He is the orbit on their offense, sets the table for them.
How about the shocks? If we're going to say who the shocks are on this vehicle for the is Edelman?
I think Edelman, Amendola, LeGarrette Blount, Deion Lewis, all those guys are complementary parts. Like they can be lug nuts and things, but this offense really goes as Gronkowski goes. I understand with Tom Brady, but Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, they set the table. And look, Gronk is a monster. Rex Ryan talked about having King Kong. Yeah. I think King Kong could probably get in that truck, but I don't know if he can really drive it and control it.
By the way, can you name any more than 2 monsters? I know there's Bigfoot and then Gravedigger.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's all I know.
That's about it.
All right.
That's all I have for you.
That's all I got. I wasn't really into that growing up. But the Arizona Cardinals, this is a good one because we're talking about a vintage vehicle because of some of the age involved there with Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer.
Yeah, Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, guys that are nearing the end of their time in the league, but they still find a way to get it done. These are cars, as my dad would say, this is your Sunday car. You don't take this car out during the week, Monday through Saturday. What you do is you drive in your other car. You got a nice, dependable car. But
is that a Corvette?
On Sunday, you break out the Corvette. That's the car you take to church. That's the car you take around town, take your people to dinner. That's what you have. Larry Fitzgerald CJ2K in terms of Chris Johnson being a guy that is dusted off, kind of refining, rejuvenating his career. And Carson Palmer, those are the guys that are kind of the driving force of the offense. Yeah, you have David Johnson. Yeah, you have Michael Floyd. But it's the old guys that are kind of driving this.
So this is what would set our graphics department up to another level. If you had Carson Palmer driving that old Corvette, but then you had Bruce Arians with the lid on in the back seat.
Yeah, but the Kango. If you had the Kango, that would really set it off. That would send the next level there, Sully.
That is a good looking vehicle, though. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, because of Julio Jones, is just, I think of like a souped up Charger.
Muscle car.
Exactly.
Muscle car, that's what we call it. My dad was a big car fan, so you're talking about a muscle car, got all those horses under the hood. That's what you have in Julio Jones. Julio Jones is the guy on that offense that sets the table for everything else. Run game, pass game, makes Matt Ryan easy. He is a guy that's playing out of his mind right now, leads the league in receptions. I think just on his presence alone, they deserve to be mentioned. He's a guy that kind of reminds me of that Dodge Charger that you know.
And now the team that, look, hasn't got it going yet offensively, but we had no choice but to give him a Ford. When you're owned by the Ford family, you talk about the Detroit Lions with Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate and all those assortment of backs and Eric Ebron. So we ended up giving them a Ford Mustang.
Ford Mustang looks nice, goes fast. Sometimes with American-made cars, they can be in the shop every now and then. You just don't know if you can get the reliability and dependability that you want. But look, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate, Ebron, Amir Abdullah, Theo Reddick. When those guys are playing at a top level, you can't get anything better than that. I think the Mustang is kind of like that. In its heyday, it's the car that everyone aspired to have.
Oh, my sister got a Mustang for her first car, man. I was so jealous. It was not, didn't look anything like that, but it was a convertible. It was a convertible.
Oh, okay.
And I remember one of the first times I got to drive that thing after I got my license was growing up in San Diego. The Lakers were playing an exhibition game down at the sports arena.
How about that?
It was freezing, and it's never cold in San Diego. It was freezing. Top down the whole way.
That's the way you do it.
Just shivering in that Mustang. All right, last one, and this is a tricky one because we haven't seen a lot to get excited about. And that's the Philadelphia Eagles, Buck. What do we got for them?
Well, they're unknown. So what we have with the Philadelphia Eagles, we have the car in the shop, but they're not allowing us to take a look at the body. Until they completely fix it, we don't know what they are. But I will say, it sounds like it could be a very, very nice car because you have a three-headed monster at running back, DeMarco Murray. You have your running back, Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles. And then you have some young guys on the outside, Zach Ertz. You have Jordan Matthews. You have Nelson Aguilar that haven't done it. We need to figure out what they are before we put it all together. So it's a work in progress right now.
But to me, if you're in a body shop, Chip is kind of like the name. I can see the name tag like Chip, working on that car. He's got to get that thing out on the road.
He has to get it out. We need to see it ride. So it's been under construction for a long time. I feel like it's one of those car shows that we're waiting to see the futuristic car. We just haven't seen the prototype. I'm waiting to see the prototype from the Philadelphia Eagles.
TD, what's happening?
My guess is it would be a Tesla if they figured it out. Maybe like a Model P,
Yeah,
I like those Teslas, man.
Oh, you like that, huh? Yeah. You don't want to spend the money on gas. A lot of money on the front end, no money on the back end.
Makes sense, man.
That's kind of what the Eagles have done. Yeah. A lot of money on the front end. We're waiting to see if we get the residual effect on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get that thing out of the shop first before we figure out what the heck it is. All right, TD, we had some fun there. Solid. I mean, I think are we gonna be able to get graphics support like this?
For sure. I think we could do one for every team in the league, man. And what's your team? What's your car?
I mean, we could do. I mean, we can go
get sponsorship involved in that.
I don't know. Ford might not be happy with Bucky's.
I just worry about the dependability and reliability. I'm just being honest.
Which team is a BMW?
Ooh, ultimate driving machine. Yeah. Which team is the smart car? The itty bitty one.
Ooh, who's a small team? Think about that.
Like all those things come into play.
Oh, I know. The smart car is the Cleveland Browns. You got Gabriel, you got Hawkins.
You got Johnny Manziel.
They all fit in that thing.
Everything. Everybody's in the smart car.
All right, let's move on from auto talk to our. We're looking at matchups right now, Bucky. We got our
good, bad, and ugly. Like who are the top matchups? What are the matchups that we're looking forward to seeing this week? And I'm going to tell you right out the gate, one that fascinates me.
Hold on. Just enjoy this for a second. Enjoy this music, Buck. Wait, is that the real one this time?
It's close, isn't it?
This one sounds better than the one we did last week.
It's the same thing.
Is it really?
It grows on you. I like it. I'm a big fan.
Now I want a cheeseburger again.
You want a cheeseburger again?
Go ahead, Buck. So we got good
playing like a DJ back there. I see it, TJ.
Good, bad, and ugly, Bucky. What we got?
I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions wide receivers. The Legion of Boom is back, obviously. Cam Chancellor came back last week, and we saw them immediately go back playing the style of defense that we're used to seeing. Shut out the Chicago Bears. They have Richard Sherman on the outside. Look, Kerry Williams doing a good job on the outside. But look, now you got the boom in the middle with Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. How will they handle Golden Tate and Calvin Johnson? Can they contain those guys? Because we've seen the Detroit Lions, they're not committed to running the football. So they're going to try and make their hay throwing the ball. On Monday night, big stage, who wins that matchup?
Yeah, I don't like it for the Lions. And when you look at the way they match up with Calvin Johnson, with Richard Sherman, he's had some success against Calvin.
I think back in the day, he called himself Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of helped launch his whole persona with the Brady thing, and then that one with Calvin.
He likes to talk a lot. He's backed it up, certainly. But now it's easier to back those big statements up when you got Cam lurking between the hashes as the enforcer.
Yeah, the big bad bully back there. To me, this is a rematch, and this is a game that I watched a lot on college because watching these guys go against each other was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Tavon Austin going up against Tyrann Mathieu. You remember that? We had West Virginia playing against LSU, and they went kind of back and forth.
Back and forth, a lot of points. It was a game that it kind of turned into a really good game. You thought, LSU would go to Morgantown, they'll smash them. No.
Stedman Bailey and Tyrann Mathieu, they put up some
Austin. Points. And Stedman Bailey's also playing this game. I think here's the thing for the St. Louis Rams. Can we see them get untracked offensively? Can we see them put 4 quarters together where we see Tavon get enough touches, Stedman Bailey makes plays, Todd Gurley kind of comes back? They need to dial it up on offense. We've said a lot about their defense and their defense being championship caliber. It's all on that offense. Can they keep up?
One of my favorite things in the running games when teams utilize that deep motion. So the Chargers used to do it all the time with LT. So all you do is you take the wide receiver in deep motion. So you're going to hand it off. You're going to fake to the wide receiver. All it's going to do is hold that backside end.
So it
gives you that pursuit. And all you do is give it to the wide receiver 1 time out of 10, and it plays that role. I would like to see Tavon Austin kind of using that with Todd Gurley. Give it to Gurley a bunch, then every now and then just flip one off.
Flip it to him. Just give him a bone every now and then and let him look. He was a big-time running back, not only in high school, but had an opportunity to run in college. Tavon Austin has to get more touches. Look, I'll be the first one to campaign on here. If you're going to take a guy with the 8th pick, he has to be a vital part of your offense. If he's not getting 8 to 10 touches every game, it's a wasted pick. They need to get him more touches.
All right, what's your bad matchup?
My bad matchup, Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers against Colin Kaepernick. Look, Colin Kaepernick is going to come into this game with his confidence reeling. 4 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, struggled in the face of the pressure of the Arizona Cardinals. Now you bring in the Green Bay Packers, and look, Clay Matthews loves to kind of take digs at quarterbacks. He loves to kind of always be around. We've seen him hit Colin Kaepernick late. We also understand what Julius Peppers brings to the table as an edge rusher. These guys collapse in the pocket, forcing Colin Kaepernick to release the ball early. We've seen bad things happen when that's occurred. Colin Kaepernick has to step up, or this could get ugly quickly in Levi Stadium.
Yeah, bad news for Niners fans, because I've had the same game for my bad matchup, but on the other side of the ball, and that's when you talk about the 49ers secondary going up against these Packers wide receivers and really throwing Aaron Rodgers in there together. Just the way they're dialed in right now. They're going to make you tackle. They're all great after the catch. It's what they do in Green Bay. He's going to get the ball out of his hands. And we've seen this 49ers defense. Outside of that week 1, when they didn't get really challenged by the Minnesota Vikings, we've seen them just get torched in the back end. This is not going to end well.
No, this is a big challenge for them on the outside. They have to be able to tackle because when you're dealing with the Green Bay Packers, it's a quick rhythm passing game, a lot of short passes designed to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers and allow them to weave and maneuver in traffic. If they don't tackle well, they absolutely will light them up. And also, this is always a personal game for Aaron Rodgers coming back. Look, grew up in Chico, wanted to be a 49er. They bypassed him in favor of Alex Smith. It's personal. Look for them to really put some points on.
You know how they have that machine, like the win predictability? So we can't afford the machine, but we have TD. So TD on obviously going up to 100%. Your confidence meter for the San Francisco 49ers to win this game is boop, 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 boop.
0 chance. And on that, I got a question.
Zero chance. They put a 0 on it.
No chance at all. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, come on. Chris Weston around the NFL says he's Michael Jordan. Dave Damashek says he's Magic Johnson. Who's your basketball comparison for Aaron Rodgers, who's on top of his game right now?
Ooh, for Aaron Rodgers. Basketball comparison.
There's a lot of those going around right now.
Man, he's the top guy going. Mm-hmm. So he's got to be, at some point in time, this player had to be the best in the NBA.
Oh, I'll take LeBron James. And this is why I say LeBron James.
They both have 1 ring?
Well, they have 1 ring, but also look at the supporting cast. Look, James Jones couldn't make the Oakland Raiders or the New York Giants yet. He goes to Green Bay.
Wait, James
Aaron
Jones
Rodgers
plays with LeBron. My head's exploding right now.
throws the ball out there, and all of a sudden James Jones is like the top dude in fantasy that everyone must have. LeBron James has that effect. Look, Matthew Dellavedova.
James Jones.
They're the same people. James Jones too, you're right.
Double James
From Miami,
Jones.
Like everybody. Like Aaron Rodgers turns people into Pro Bowl players. Then they disappear and they go and they turn to waste. So, look, he's LeBron James of the NFL.
Couple of options out there taking Steph Curry, quick release. Monday Night Football did a thing on that.
Quick release.
Kobe, because Aaron Rodgers, he just acts like he's above everyone else, kind of like what Kobe does.
A little bit arrogant.
Couple other options.
Does Kobe make everybody better like Aaron Rodgers, though?
No chance. Not at all.
See, I feel like you're being disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers when you.
I'm just
when
trying
you
to.
say
I'm
he's
trying
like
to think of who is just. You know who he's a much better player in his sport, but Dwayne Wade, how just kind of smooth he was. Like Aaron Rodgers kind of moves around a little bit, like
finisher, the closer. I can see that. And then when you have an opportunity to surround him with great players, then he turns it up a notch. So yeah, I can see that.
All right, TD, good contribution there. Sometimes TD jumps in. We don't know what we're going to
It
get.
always is going to be a basketball rep. It's always going to be a basketball
that was solid. It wasn't soccer. Although I do have to admit, when we get down a little bit later on in the show, I'm trying to look at my rundown here of all of our notes, and he's like made up a name. It sounds like a soccer name for the guy that I'm supposed to use, which confused the heck out of me. But anyway, we're going to go ugly matchup, Bucky, and we agree on this one.
Yeah, this matchup could get ugly, especially as they're trading away all their defensive players. Amari Cooper versus the Bears secondary, and namely Kyle Fuller.
Yeah.
Look, Kyle Fuller is a guy that made his name in college off of that game that he had against Alabama, and Amari Cooper did a great job of locking him up. I think he's going to see a different man come Sunday. I think Amari Cooper is going to be at the top of his game, and I think this is an opportunity, a huge game for the Raiders to go 3-1. I think Amari Cooper is going to dial it up, and I just don't know if the pass rush can affect Derek Carr enough to help Kyle Fuller stay with Cooper all over. And look, this dude has done it to Joe Haden and the likes of several other good players.
That was a young Amari Cooper that Kyle Fuller went up, and that was a Chick-fil-A kickoff game, I believe.
Yes.
And Fuller got up in his face and got his hands on Amari Cooper. Now, I've seen the last 2 weeks going up against like Jimmy Smith and now Joe Haden. These are good NFL players. They cannot get a hand on him. So he is a totally different guy. And I think Amari Cooper's a prideful man. I think he remembers that college game.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
He comes out and absolutely lights it up against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because I think this is another opportunity for Amari Cooper to go over 100. I just don't see how the Bears can get enough pressure to help Kyle Fuller. You can't roll the coverage to him all day without being able to get to the quarterback. Amari Cooper, 100 yards.
All right, last thing here, as we do every week, our scout sleepers, and this is the one for me, Buck, where I sent it in, I email it to TD and company and said Kyle Rudolph is my choice for my sleeper this week, and on my paper it says Rudolfo.
Rudolfo.
So I assume that's
that Premier League or something like that, like
soccer league.
My soccer team, Manchester United, play later today, so I might be thinking way ahead.
Yeah, a little bit ahead of yourself there with Kyle Rudolph, but no, I think he's got an opportunity to have a good game this week. He's somebody. Teddy Bridgewater needs to kind of find his mojo. And you look at the Broncos on the outside with the corners.
Can't win on the outside. It's going to be tough to win.
Stay away from that. So work in the middle of the field and get Kyle Rudolph involved.
I mean, I like that pick. I think it's sensible. It's sensible because you have to work the middle of the field against the Broncos to have any success. Kyle Rudolph versus TJ Ward. I will take Kyle Rudolph in that matchup. The rest of the matchups, in my mind, favor the Broncos. Look for him to target Rudolph early and often.
Who you got for your sleeper, Buck?
My sleeper is Jadeveon Clowney.
Nice.
The forgotten man. Look, we saw him start getting on the field in week 2. Now I saw him against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, started to make an impact, started to create pressures. As he becomes more comfortable and the health comes back, we're going to see that dynamic duo, that tandem that we thought we'd see with J.J. Watt and Clowney. I think he takes another big step, and they need it. Because they're playing the Atlanta Falcons, they have to find a way to get Matt Ryan off his spot.
Went back and watched that one. They're letting him rush over the guard a little bit, and I think you're going to see him paired up with Watt on the same side, and that's going to be something to watch as
Very
they go
creative.
forward. He just needs one thing. Clowney needs to work on is just staying on his feet. He's getting cut way too much. He's got to work on using his hands.
That was one of the things that kind of showed up a little bit in college, like his awareness in terms of spatial awareness, in terms of where the bodies are, who could potentially cut him or not. Needs to work on that. But the athleticism I'm beginning to see because he's very, very quick off the ball.
It's coming back. That's going to do it for us here today, Buck. But if you want some more Move the Sticks, you can get it on our video shorts that we're doing this week, which will be up by the time you're listening to this or watching this. We're going to do a breakdown on Jameis and Mariota, what we've seen from them so far this season, as well as talk about the top NFL wide receivers. So there's more video content for you can find. That'll be on YouTube, correct, TD? We're going to have that on YouTube. And then also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the show. You can subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube. And we will be back next week with our regular 2 shows, Buck. But we do need to say goodbye and a hearty thank you to Sully. Sully, you've done a wonderful job here with the show. Really, really can't thank you enough for all the hard work you put in to make this whole thing happen. We really appreciate everything you've done, and we look forward to seeing you back here as we get back towards draft time. He's got his Seahawks helmet. Are they going to let you? They're not letting you take that. They can tell you they are,
TDs.
but they're not.
I don't know how a Tennessee Vols guy is a Seahawks guy like that. I'm
They're my brother.
Confused. It seems like Atlanta would be closer.
Yeah.
The Titans, maybe.
It's a long story. We don't have enough time to tell.
Let's just be nice to him, Buck.
Yeah.
It's his last round. We'll see Sully back by the time we get to the draft, and we'll see all of you back here next week as we keep cranking on Move the Sticks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for downloading Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. For more, go to NFL.com/podcasts.